Alright people, just going to do an oil change on my Mustang 4.6 2 valve. So this should be the same for the 96 to 04 2 valve 4.6s. Should be the same steps. I think the only difference is on the 99 to 04, the oil filter cap is here on the passenger side instead of the driver's side. Mine's a 97 Mustang, so mine's on the driver's side. I use 530. I think Ford like updated something to where they want you to use 520. I still use 530. I'm going with royal purple, and obviously I'm gonna change the gasket. I have an aftermarket drain plug that's magnetic, so here's the part number 097-828CD. It's just this gasket. I like these rubber gaskets better, so I usually use this because it's almost sure ensures there's no leak. So I like using these ones. You can use any brand you want. I personally just like using royal purple. Now, for the filter, let me grab my filter real quick and I'll show you what filter I use. Alright, so the filter I use, I personally like, is Wix XP. I just think Wix makes a really good brand as the XP for the extended performance one. Part number 51372 XP. You can get the regular one, 51372, without the XP for like regular oil. It's still good oil, but I use XP because it's made for synthetic, and I'm using synthetic oil. Now, a couple things you need to use. Obviously, you need, like I said, you need a 13 millimeter, because mine again is an aftermarket drain plug. I'll leave the link in the description below. It's magnetic. I think the stock one's a 14 or a 13 too. I don't remember, but yeah. Then you'll need I like using the oil filter cap wrench. Part number 19904, 93 millimeter 15 flutes, which is this bad boy right here. I like using this also as because I just like snugging it more than usual. Usually they say by hand. I like it a little bit more than that. Then you want to get like a piece of cardboard like this, because where the oil filter is, it's right on top of the rack and pinion boot, and I don't like getting the rack and pinion boot dirty, so I like using this right here. And obviously you need a drain pan. Well, first things first, first thing you gotta do, pop up the hood obviously, and then you're gonna want to jack up the car and have some jack stands under. Do not go under the car without double the support. You don't want to die, you know, you want an oil change. So yeah, so let me go ahead and jack the car up and we'll continue. Alright, so we got the car jacked up. Put two jack stands on it, or two jacks, right on this frame rail. That solid piece of steel right there. So two of them. Make sure you always put two. Now, obviously, we're gonna drain the oil. First thing we gotta do, get the drain pan, slide it right under. Slide it right under there. There it is. Now get your 13 millimeter, which is right here. Make sure it's on the counterclockwise position to loosen. Then what I like to do is take out the oil cap and just kind of open it up a little, you know, just like that. So, you know, like the vacuum makes the oil go down better. Other thing, if you just drove it, usually some people like to, what do you call this, run it a bit before they do it. You can. It makes the oil flow better, I think so, but I personally don't really care. Do it when it's cold, do it when it's warm, I don't really care. So, I'll go right under, and push it down more there. Let me see here. Let's go right under, and you're gonna see drain plug right there. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen it, and we're gonna let the oil drain out. So let me do that right now. So basically, where the location is, so here's the rack and pinion, here's the oil filter. It's right in the middle of this little like cross brace area. So it's right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen it and let the oil drain out. So now we got the oil draining out. So here it is. Sometimes you might need a breaker bar, but because I did the last oil change, I never tightened it that much, so it's not a lug nut. You just need it to be snug, not extremely tight. So we'll go ahead and let that drain out, then we'll continue with the next step. Alright, so now you can see it's on there. Like I said, you want to do it snug, not too tight. Alright, just snug it. It's not, again, it's not a lug nut. Just snug it, and you want to run it down with your hands so it's all the way in before you start snugging it. So just, turn it with your hand, then it completely bottoms out. Then you could use your 3/8 ratchets to take it off. Now, after that, we drain the plug. We drain the oil. We're going to the filter. The filter's right here. Like I said, it's right on top of the rack and pinion boot. So this is where we get our cardboard. So we get a cardboard like this, and we're just gonna shove it like somewhere right here, so that the oil, when it starts leaking down, it doesn't leak on the rack and pinion boot. It leaks on the cardboard and will leak down to your pan, which should be somewhere right here. So first of all, let me go ahead and drain the oil pan because it's full, and then I'm gonna go for this step right here. All right, so we got our apparatus on. So you're gonna go from this side, use a 3-inch extension with it, and you're gonna start slowly unraveling this thing. And like I said, put your drain pan on the bottom. And slowly go ahead and loosen it. Like I said, mine is snugged. Like mine is snugged on there, like pretty well. Because like I said, I like mine to make sure that mine's not gonna pop out. And I don't like taking, precautions on it. It might not pop. It might pop out of nowhere. So I like mine being snugged. So with that being said, all we gotta do is drain, completely turn it, and the oil start draining out. As you can see, worked out perfectly. Use this right here. I mean, some might still get in there, but I mean, it's gonna be less of a mess than it would have had. So we're gonna let that drain out, completely take it off, and then we'll go from there. One thing I forgot to mention I like doing too is the fact that I like to go ahead and blast this thing with brake cleaner, like everywhere in this area, just to give it a nice clean. And I check on the surface of the oil filter housing and clean it up with like a rag, just to make sure that's clean. So you probably want to do that. Like I said, we're just gonna put the oil filter there and just turn it by hand. And so yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so I tightened the filter on there with my hand, and like I said, the reason why I like to use that tool is, I'm not sure if you can see, there's a little gap in there, and I did it with my hand as much as possible. And I'm a decently strong guy, so where I can get it tighter there than most people, but again, there's that little gap right there, and it bothers me, and I don't like how that looks. So usually I will go again and get that filter wrench, like I said, and I will go ahead and we'll turn it like a couple more turns than usual, and usually that should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, turn it a couple more, and then just enough to where that looks like it disappears, and then we'll move on from there. All right, so last but not least, you obviously got to put oil in. Obviously I preferably want to use a funnel, which I do have right now, and you want it on a flat surface, so once you put the oil, you can obviously read it. Now this card takes about 6.02 quarts, so like 6 quarts basically. So I basically just have 6 quarts. Usually I'll put 5 quarts, and then I'll put 5.5 quarts, and then check the dipstick to see how that looks. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour in the oil and get back with you guys.